Hey everybody, we want to welcome you to this edition of Suzette Speaks TV on Facebook Live and YouTube. I always like to bring you very interesting people and interesting discussions, and hopefully you'll learn something or learn something about yourself. I'm an attorney and television host, and I'm just getting into this Facebook Living thing. And I brought a very special friend of mine today. She is a young professional from South Florida. She calls herself now a politician. Hey, we talk a little politics. It is a very interesting year, 2018, and we have a lot going on in politics. So I thought it would be very appropriate to chat with someone who is living that life and has a different perspective and a different insight into what's going on, particularly in the state of Florida. So I want to let people log on, come in, make sure you like this and share it. We'll get that out the way. Please like and share because we want to go far and wide, as well as subscribe. All right. So thank you for watching us and checking us out. So welcome, Anika Omphroy. Hey.
Thank you very much, Suzette. I'm super excited to be here this morning. It has been a pleasure to know you.
Aww.
And I was super excited when you said, hey,
let's do it.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. So we wanted to just kind of like keep it very relaxed, guys. Leave your comments, and if you want us to answer any questions, obviously we'll do so during this broadcast. So I want you to get to know her. She is awesome, under 40 woman in politics. That's very rare to be single, no babies yet. But she decided to get involved. So obviously we think, not everybody, but in this world of so-called fake news, everybody's talking about politics and what's real, what's fake. And it seems like there's a drag on the reputation of a politician. So why would you, as free as a bird woman, want to get involved in the world of politics and throw yourself into this mayhem called local politics?
Well, I call it the it's like hot sauce.
Woo!
It's very spicy in the world of politics. But I got involved in politics because I realized that not being involved was a grave disservice to my community, the community that raised me, the community that gave me an opportunity to navigate the business world and to provide for myself. And it's important for me to make sure that I add the voice and the spice of my community. I am a Caribbean American. Both my parents were born in Jamaica. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. So I'm BK people. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and raised right here in South Florida. This district is actually the district that raised me. I did spend a little bit of time in the lovely city of Coral Springs.
Okay.
Shout out to Coral Springs.
All right.
But for me, the reason I got involved was not getting involved was not an option anymore.
Right.
The tools that have been given to be me were actually tools necessary to help my community.
Okay.
So I decided to use them.
I love it. So take us back to the beginning. I love it. So you born in Brooklyn.
Born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
First child on this soil from my family.
Okay, very cool.
I'm the only girl in a family full of boys. I'm the oldest on both sides.
Oh, wonderful.
And I played soccer and football. I danced. I sang.
Okay.
So the beautiful thing about how I was raised was I was never limited. I was never put in a box of, oh, this is what girls do or this is what boys do. I was allowed to explore. Right. And I was also allowed to, not very traditional Caribbean, but I was allowed to express myself. Wow. Even if it was in the opposition of my parental units.
Oh, I love it.
So that actually prepared me for the life of politics. Being able to explain who you are, what you want, and what your objectives are actually allowed me the opportunity to be who I am today.
I love it. And we're getting a lot of hellos. We got to speak up. Okay, Anthony, we'll talk up a little bit. Hopefully you can hear us. Live from Uganda. What's up, Uganda in the building? Hey, Canada in the building. And we expect a lot more folks to join us. Thank you so much for watching. And so we're talking to this beautiful young lady about getting involved in the world of politics. And again, I kind of feel that Barack Obama's election, seeing a man like him that we've never seen before, literally lit the world on fire. There are people that were always interested in politics, but it changed something about the way we, particularly as people of color, view ourselves, and wanting to get more involved in the political process, thinking, hey, I could do it too. and wanting to, get involved in races or involved in campaigns or different causes. Do you think that had an effect on you, his election, and what he symbolized as a politician?
Unfortunately, it did not.
It did not?
No, I knew that my life map out was politics.
Oh, so before even a Barack, because I went to the second inauguration, and I just remember feeling like, oh my God, I get to see. It was cold in D.C., freezing, and I had to borrow my friend's boots. I remember this because I got big calves, and I couldn't zip up the boots all the way. So I'm in the middle of the inaugural crowd with floppy boots hanging open like it's a style. But I think I actually had on like a sweater dress, so it really wasn't a style, but that's too much information. But bottom line is, I just remember thinking to myself, I am witnessing history, even for the second time, how big this was. And I think it's very interesting that you say, like, you already knew. So was there an inspiration from when you were younger that had that in you? Did you understand what politics meant, what politicians did, and who that was?
Well, for me, I am third generation.
Politics?
Yes.
Oh, it's in the blood. It's in the blood. Okay.
I actually avoided politics for a very long time, but I knew at a very early age I had a reoccurring dream as a child.
Okay.
And the reoccurring dream was that I'm walking through a crowd.
Okay.
And there's bullets flying. Ooh. And while I'm walking through the bullets, no bullets are hitting me, no bullets are hitting my security, but I'm on a direct path towards this podium. And when I get to the podium, all the bullets stop.
This was a dream? And how old were you when you had the dream?
12, 13. And it was reoccurring. So I knew that my path was towards a podium. And maybe I didn't completely understand what politics at the time.
Right.
But my aunt ran for office when I was 16.
Yes.
And she became a city commissioner. She was the first Caribbean elected female in the southeastern United States.
Yes, I remember. Big up Hazel Rogers. Yes. Yeah.
I have a grand aunt who has an Order of Distinction in Jamaica. Her last name is also Omphroy.
Wow.
She was a midwife. And so it's always been, and that's on my father's side. So it's always been a commitment to community. Service. And so I do not shy away from the word politician. Yeah. Because politicians are the stewards of the redistribution of wealth. And if my community needs the information it has given me, and invested in me, my neighbors, my friends, my family have given me so much, it's my duty to now reinvest what they've given me back into my community.
That's awesome.
So I knew that was a plat, but I was scared of those bullets, girl. I was like, I don't know about these bullets.
So it came in a dream. That's very deep. That's very deep. And I think people, particularly of the African diaspora, will understand dreams and what they mean symbolically. So you go to college here in Florida. Tell us about that route.
So I went to college here in Florida. I went to Nova High School in Davie, Florida. Let me just tell you, interesting experience. Go Titans. And then I walked across the street. Actually, I went to Broward College for a bit. Okay. And just to let everybody know, I'm not a straight A student. Never was a straight A student. I did test gifted though. Okay. And I did debate honors in high school, debate law team in middle school. So if you have a child who's very interested in politics, make sure that they join their law team in middle school and their debate club and team in high school. It really
forensics.
Helped me. It does. Yeah. But I went across the street to Nova Southeastern University and got my bachelor's degree from Nova Southeastern, and my bachelor's degree is actually in paralegal studies.
Okay, very cool.
A lot of people are like, "Are you an attorney?" I'm like,
I know enough to be, and I love it.
Yeah, I wanted to find out if I liked the paperwork involved with being an attorney.
And I want to hit a question I see. Thank you, Ian Powers. What are some of the hindrances you faced in your political race so far, being a person of color and being a woman? Have you felt any kind of intricacies that are different than a person who might not have those same categorizations?
So, Ian, I will not tell you that this journey has been an easy one, but it has been a little more. It's a little easier to stomach because I had examples of what this looks like or what it's supposed to look like. I can tell you that I got elected area leader for 2 cities in 2016, and what I faced was people wanting to create storylines about my people. And these storylines are not true storylines. These storylines are not a proper reflection of the people I know. Right. And so I faced having to be the voice of an entire group of people. And I took that on and got battered and bruised in that process. Wow. I mean, confrontations, hands in face. Who do you think you are? You can't do this. Hold up. Yes,
Let's back up. So I'm gonna parse through some of those words. Mm-hmm. So because you got involved with state politics as a representative for various cities, these cities happen to be predominantly people of color.
And immigrants.
Yes. So when you're going to meetings and you're representing the needs of that particular community that happens to look like you and happens to have an accent or happens to be particularly brown, there are people that seem to not want you to vocalize the truth behind the identity of being a hardworking person, the identity of wanting good education, commitment to excellence in just wanting the American dream.
Yes.
They wanted to stereotype those areas or those cities as being impoverished and less than and not being, I would not put words in your mouth, worthy of the attention I guess they would deserve.
And the sad part about that is the third largest Democratic county in this country happens to be the county that we reside in, Broward. And the vote that pushes this Democratic county, or the largest vote, happens to be the black female vote.
Oops.
Okay? And that black female vote is pushed by a Caribbean base, which is a Haitian and Jamaican base. And
mixed with African American.
The black vote.
Yeah.
But there's a strong push from the people who were active in their home countries of Haiti and Jamaica, who also spearhead the push in Florida. Don't get me wrong. African Americans, Caribbean Americans, we are one.
Yeah.
But there are set differences. As an African American born and bred here, you don't have immigration issues.
True.
And those are the things that I see my county party ignore. Those are the things that I see that don't ever get addressed when Donald Trump refers to African countries as S-hole countries, and your county party, which is driven or sitting on the backs of your people, do not address those issues.
Right.
I then have to come with statistics from the Supervisor of Elections Office to show how we vote.
Exactly.
Then I have to walk in with information about what they're not going to do to my people. But I make sure that I do my research. I make sure, because I know they want to stereotype me as a black female. First generation in this country. So I'm also immigrant. Those are supposedly 3 strikes, but I take those as 3 glorious movements from God to keep pushing forward.
Badges of honor.
Yes.
I love it.
And I wear them like jewels. I'm like, awesome. This is who I am. But the fight has been real.
I can imagine.
I mean, the literally hands in face, backed into corners, and you have to be like, listen, let me explain something to you. First of all, you're not going to talk to me like that.
Right.
Because Marlene and Robert don't talk to me like that. So you sure are not talking to me like that. Second of all,
her parents.
Yeah, Marlene and Robert, my parents. Shout out Daddy and Mommy. The fact that you can think that you can speak down to me for speaking up on behalf of my community, who are you?
Exactly.
No. My people are amazing. My people are glorious.
We're the backbone
of this party.
Of this Democratic, can we just say Democratic Party? Yes. So I'm wondering, because I know a lot of people out there have this controversy of whether people of color should stick with Democrats. And whether they take us for granted. If they automatically think they have your vote, do they actually have to address your issues? So what is your thought about that? I know you ran as a Democrat and obviously you work within Democratic Party politics. Do you think that they take us for granted? Are they looking at us like, oh, okay, we can work on other people's issues because the black people or the people of color are always going to be there? What's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is I think that Caribbean people have very Republican ways of thinking. We are Republican at heart, and let me explain why.
Okay, please explain.
In the Caribbean, you send your child to school and you pay for your school fee.
Right.
You save and you buy a house. Credit was not easily accessible when I was growing up.
Right.
And seeing my cousins, people, you saved up and you bought your house. You didn't have necessarily a bank that was going to lend you the money for the house. So
Same thing with your car.
Yeah, you build brick by brick and you save up and you get that particular vehicle. So when you come to this country, you come with the mindset of you have to do these things for yourself, but then you buck up on racism.
Right.
And racism hits you like a brick wall. It is boom. Right. And you have to really take a step back, look around, acknowledge that it exists, and keep pushing.
Right.
And you keep chiseling at that wall. So do I believe that we have to be Democrats? No. But I believe that the Democratic Party has been more inclusive of the ideas that mean something to us. I do not believe that we give Democrats a pass.
Right.
I go to meetings and I ask questions and I push issues. One of the things that I pushed for in every single meeting I met with a gubernatorial candidate, a person who's running for governor in my state,
right,
is what are they going to do in regards to making sure that there's equitable distribution of resources back to my county. My county is, South Florida is the economic engine for the state of Florida.
Millions of people.
Millions of people, 1.9 million people in Broward,
Right.
2.1 million in Miami-Dade, and 1.6 million in West Palm Beach.
Yeah, so between Miami-Dade, Broward County, Palm Beach County, we are like a huge swath of the Florida population.
Population in Florida is 20 million.
Exactly.
Okay? So when you have fun, we give about 60% of the state's budget comes from us.
Taxes. 60% of the state's budget in taxes come from these three
from
counties.
These three counties.
Yes.
And what ends up taking place is they send us back 30 billion. And we must send them up something like 50 billion.
Wow.
And to think that we have majority of the population here and we get underfunded.
Right.
So this underfunding.
So we're like donor to the state budget, and we get back less into this area. Okay, I get it.
So our county is a donor county.
Right.
Our state is a donor state.
Right. Whoa. To the Fed taxes.
Yes.
Okay.
So for me, my question is, how do you send back more resources? Because my people need resources so they continue to excel. The other thing is I'm very pro-business and economics, so I pushed to find out if they were going to put money into micro-business loans within the state. I'm asking everybody, will you set aside $30 million every year for this? In 2016, they passed a bill that gave $1 million, but they have not done it again. So that's one of the pushes that I push for. But the reason I push economics, people are like, oh, don't you care about child safety? Don't you care about immigration? Don't you care? Well, I care about economics because everything else will pan out. If parents have the resources to take care of their kids,
with you,
then everything else falls into place.
Yeah, if you can pay your bills and then you actually have excess, your kids will be better fed, better raised, better taken care of. I do believe a lot of problems come from poverty.
Yes.
And not having the resources to take care of one's family without having 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. Yes. I do believe that once you address that, I think that's a great platform issue. I want to go to the Facebook Live, and I see Anthony. What's going on, Anthony Escoffery? I'm a tractor trailer driver. I need for you to get the cell phone law passed. Mandatory 3 months in jail if I get catch on my cell phone while driving. This is one of the most serious issues out there right now. Okay, Anthony, thank you. I like that you're educating us. You can only speak for yourself. We are not Republican-hearted people. Speak for your... Anthony, we're not trying to say everybody. It's just it's a matter of opinion. And I do think it depends on issue by issue. I don't think the word Republican, as is represented right now, is representative of Caribbean people. I'm with you on that. But I do think she meant in terms of smaller issues, incidental to... Really, it could be a Democrat or it could be a Republican. I hear what you're saying, Anthony. Nobody's calling all Caribbean people Republican-minded. I hear you. I hear you very loud and clear.
Well, I will say, Anthony, I'm the daughter of a truck driver.
Hey!
So I will look at the issue that you just placed there.
Okay.
Because that affects me personally. Okay. I am the daughter of a truck driver.
All right. So she's going to check out the cell phone bill.
But I will
cell phone law, excuse me.
I will not back down on my stance that Caribbean people are Republican-minded in the sense that we are hardworking in regards to making sure we save our money to get things done because that's how it is in the countries that we come from.
Okay.
In this country, it is better for us to be Democrats. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we should allow the Democratic Party to take us for granted. And I believe that we need to pay attention to both sides and bring our issues to both sides. It has become a very polarizing situation recently that there's such a big divide between Democrats and Republicans. When I was growing up, in the late 90s or early 20s, there wasn't such a big divide between Republicans and Democrats.
It's crazy right now.
What's taking place now, the partisanship is, it's not about people anymore. Mm-hmm. It's about party. And at no point in time should party not be about the people they serve.
Absolutely. Anthony said, okay, sis, okay, we good. Thank you, Anthony. You got the point we try to make. And again, we welcome all opinions. So please make sure you comment and make sure you leave your opinion because it matters to us. So I want to move back into why we see kind of this, I don't want to say resurgence because like you said, in politics, particularly in America, if you look back in history, the women particularly of color have led a lot of movements. We've seen Susan B. Anthony and the women's suffragettes, etc. But beyond that, when we get into the civil rights movement, I know we always talk about Martin Luther King and Medgar Evers and all those excellent leaders, but we also need to recognize that a lot of the backing when it came to strikes and when it comes to bus boycotts and things like this were run by women. All right. So shout out to my mothers of the movement from a long time. All right. So I see a particular surgeons when we look at people like Stacey Abrams running for governor in Georgia and other states where you see a lot more women, particularly women of color, on the ballot. Is this a trend that we'll continue to see? Shout out to Kamala Harris in California. Her parents are I think one of her parents is Jamaican.
Her father is Jamaican.
Yeah.
Her mother Indian.
And her mother's Indian. She's out in California. And I see a lot more women popping and cropping up, even though in the U.S. Senate, I think out of 100 members, only 20 are women. So it's not a takeover. It's not like we've gained full equality, if that is what we're trying to do. But I'm just saying, have you seen or do you recognize, even within state politics, this kind of shift into getting more women actively running, not behind the scenes, like the face of the being the candidate?
I think that we have decided that being behind the candidate doesn't necessarily get the things that we need done. I think that I believe there's a stat that says it's something like 9% of the elected officials in office are women.
9%?
Yeah, I think it's 9%.
Nationwide.
State of
Florida.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there is a surge currently. There's 100. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Florida House. There are 120 state house seats. I am now one of those 120. There are currently, we have a couple of black women who are in positions of power. Right now in the Senate, we have the incoming minority leader for the Senate happens to be a black woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Who is that?
I'm going to mess up her name, so
yeah.
I'm not going to mess up.
Okay, all right, no worries.
But it's a black woman, and I want to make sure that people understand that there are kings, right, which is what we would consider the people or the spokesperson for the people, and there are kingmakers. Absolutely. And you can be both. At no point in time do not think that you cannot become king, which is the face of a people and the representative of a people. But it's also important to be kingmakers. That means you look back and you look at the environment and you see who else you can pull up into a position. I have no intentions of sitting down and being a 40-year politician. My end goal is...
What you mean, these long careers in politics, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years in the same office? I mean, I see pros and cons. I know people who get upset about it and feel like, this country's system was not designed for you to have like career politicians, i.e. like a Joe Biden and these people who have literally their whole life is spent serving in one position or another. What do you feel like will be different about you? How do you approach it?
Well, see, I would like to get to the point where I can suntan on the beach before I'm overly wrinkled. Like my mission is to come in, do my years of service, pull someone else in. My grandma has this theory. She says, or this lesson she used to always teach me. She says, you get in the door, you learn everything you need to learn, and then you pull someone else in, you teach them, and you move out the way. Ooh. She said, because you're not supposed to sit and hold the space. There has to be room for the next.
Grandma got that wisdom. And I think there's so many people that don't do that. And where again, this I could do a whole video on this alone. The lack of mentorship.
Yes.
Within particularly, I don't know if it's just locally here in my community here, Miami, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, wherever. But I hear people and I see people who I admire, and they will embrace you to an extent. They may have a lunch with you. They may have a coffee with you. But beyond that, you might not get what I would call advocacy. You might not get or what they call sponsorship, which is somebody making a phone call or somebody actually having enough influence to get you in the door and propel you career-wise to another level. I don't see that happen much. And I know that it takes sponsors, people actually being in positions of power enough because I know there's a lot of times people of color have the face of something, but they really can't pull the trigger. They cannot make the phone call or make the call and say, I am going to hire this attorney or I am going to hire this person. But I do think that lack of sponsorship might also, and you will tell us better than me, apply to politics. And if people do not prepare the next generation, I love my I would call it the Moses generation. I love that there was this strong force of folks that stood together through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. But even if you look in Africa, you got strong men that's going into their 80s still president 30 years later. There are people, a whole generation of people that have not grown up knowing but one leader of their country because they can't get rid of them. Like, I do agree with that. I love grandma's wisdom that you share.
My grandmother thinks it's crazy, but I also think it's crazy because, like you said, there are people who have the ability to pull you to the next level. And I had significant community leaders who should have held my hand and moved me forward when I said, hey, this is what I want to do. Help me.
Show me, teach me.
And I had to get to the point where I decided I wasn't going to ask for their help anymore. I was just going to do it.
That's where I am.
I refuse. I refuse to have another person who comes to me not get my help. I am open to answer questions. I am open to doing research. I have a friend who is a consultant on a major campaign. And I didn't have the power to get her into that position, but I sure had the power to research the hell out of what she should be getting paid, how much she should be asking for, the changing of certain information or language in regards to her title, her position, because you don't want to be boxed in.
You want to back them when you see people on the rise. Imagine that, helping and assisting them to not only get there, but remain there and be competitive there.
Sis, this is how you do the research to be able to pull up these stats, because I ran for office. I know how to pull these stats.
Right.
This is how you look at their campaign report, so you know who has money, who doesn't have money.
Exactly.
This is the kind of stuff that I had access to.
Internal knowledge.
That I passed on.
Wow.
Because it's important. Because you might be in a campaign and be on the ground field, being out there knocking doors. And listen, no campaign is won without the groundwork of knocking doors and talking to people. However, in order to transition to that position that pays the real dollars, you have to understand how to pull stats. You have to understand what to ask for when you step into that position. And that was the information that I did have.
Yeah.
And so she had all the tools to do the job. She just needed a little extra, and then the constant reminder that you have the capabilities and you have this.
Absolutely. No, that's very powerful. You see this insider knowledge? I don't know why. I'm not going to say just people of color, but why there are people that literally feel it's
control.
It's a control, but it's almost like a rite of passage. Like, I figured it out, but I'm not gonna tell you. You have to go the long route too. And there's something to be said about development along a journey. I agree that there are people, especially now, the younger generation, that might want to kind of like skip the development phase, and it's not really good to do that because you're ill prepared to get and maintain the position once you have it. So understanding the ins and outs by doing and kind of growing into a leader of some sort is important. But I also find that there are people that try to kind of hold on to that internal knowledge that you're not going to know. I find that a lot with young politicians, even younger people that I've seen on the scene here in South Florida. They have no clue where to start. They just put their name on the ballot. They signed up some paperwork and they run. And I want to be like, bro, you need at least some kind of guidance,
a platform,
something.
Running.
So it's kind of scary because then there's like, are they too ill-equipped? Do I really want to open myself up and attach my name to this person who is not really? They don't have any sense of the playing field at all.
I get in trouble all the time.
Why?
Because I am always like, listen, you're running for office. What is your platform? How are you planning on helping your people?
Yeah.
And, sometimes people think that I'm being mean, but in truth and in fact, I'm pushing you to figure out why you're doing this.
Exactly.
Are you doing this for a title? Are you doing this to help your community? You have to know what is grounding you in order to survive through this. You get all kind of extra friends.
Hey.
All kind of extra
I bet
friends.
people just all of a sudden, hey, how are you? Congratulations.
All kind of extra I got emails. I'm like, who? Whoa.
Who is you?
How did you get my emails? But there's a young man that I decided that I want to help, right? And you said you have to go through a certain process. Do not walk up to an elected official and ask them to do your work.
Your homework.
Your homework.
Yeah, I agree
You
with
have
that.
to know what that position you want to run for does, what the powers of that, what I mean by powers, what does that position control?
Right.
And you have to make sure that you understand what you plan on doing in that position. I think some people didn't get help because they had not done their homework.
Right.
They just saw going to an event and seeing, oh, Senator
I
Suzette.
want to be like you.
I want to be like you. You know, and
Yeah.
have no idea that Senator Suzette.
Yeah. And they want them to give them the keys to the kingdom.
The entire
I don't care
thing.
if it's politics or business. You're not just going to come up to the person that's owned the company after building it for 25 years and say like, okay, I want to be you. Here, give me. No.
And
it
so
doesn't work
I
like that.
literally had to send this. He called me and he said, I know you're busy, but can you tell me the information I need from this website? I said, no.
You got to do that.
I said, let me tell you what you call me for. You call me for when you hit a roadblock.
Right.
You call me when you don't understand why someone's not returning your phone call.
Right.
You call me when you're not quite sure how this law works and it might affect your filing.
Right.
But you don't call me because you're trying to figure out what the stats are on a website. Because you can call that city
Right.
or that county
Right. And
or
figure it
that
out.
state office. There are people in those offices who are their sole job
Is to
is
help
to help
you
figure that out.
Exactly. So it sounds like, especially if you're interested in coming into the politics game, do your homework.
Please.
Do your homework first. I think there's a lot of people that are very excited.
Yes.
And they are thinking their enthusiasm will replace actual knowledge. And you can't do that. You can't and be enthused past the facts and the numbers and understanding who you are representing and why. So I think that's a very important lesson. I'm going to the Facebook. It says Magic Bruskowitz. Hi, what's up, Magic? Who do you support in the Florida gubernatorial race for governor and why?
Well, this is where I'm going to be a real politician.
Uh-oh.
I just want to see a good Democrat
Okay.
in office. We've had 20 years of a Republican governor. And that has caused us great harm. Let me just give you one example. Affordable housing.
Right.
Since 2005, $3 billion has been slushed away from a trust fund that was set up to build working affordable housing, middle class affordable housing. Affordable housing doesn't mean poor people housing.
No.
It means affordable. And right now it's unaffordable.
For everybody.
For everybody.
Whether you're poor, whether you're middle class, whether you're
whether
upper
you're upper class.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. So she's talking about Sadowski?
Yes.
The Sadowski Trust Fund.
It's
If you're
a
in Florida,
trust
Google
fund.
it, Sadowski Trust Fund.
And they've been
And
rating that.
what's been happening with that money is it hasn't been used for affordable housing. It's been used for everything else but.
But here's the joke. When I ran in 2016,
Yeah.
I brought up the fact that we have an affordable housing issue and we have a brain drain in our state.
Absolutely.
Because people can't afford to come home.
No.
And they took my words and gave it to a person that don't look nothing like me.
Uh-oh.
And it became big news. And
Surprise!
I was like, oh, but you know what? You have to realize that it's okay. Take credit for it. As long as it gets out there.
Exactly.
I had a room full of politicians come up to me and say, you're the first person to actually say that we have a brain drain taking place.
Exactly.
Out loud.
Yeah, people that grow up in South Florida, in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, tend to not come back after college or after a secondary education because they can't afford to live without. It's like New York now.
Yeah.
You have to have a roommate. You have to live with somebody or have a tenant or do something to pay that mortgage or that rent because it's so expensive. If you have like a decent, say, $40,000, $50,000 a year job, you are struggling. Not even thinking about people who have families with children.
I have no
you can't
children, and
afford to
it's
live.
serious.
No, I agree. It's a huge problem here, no matter what part of the spectrum you're on. Absolutely.
So let's talk about these candidates on the Democratic side.
All right. We're getting to your question, baby. We're getting to your question,
the
Magic.
Democratic side, you have the first person who filed was Mayor Andrew Gilliam of Tallahassee.
Mayor Andrew Gilliam. True?
And I'm going to tell you that I met him when he was 25 and I was 26. Our birthdays are a day apart.
No way.
Okay, he's a July baby. He's a Leo like me. And I remember his genuineness, and it remains to this day. I believe that he has a path map out for the state of Florida that is inclusive, and it is revolutionary in a sense. He is an amazing speaker.
I've heard him speak as well.
And I think that he would be an amazing governor. There's also Philip Levine, who's running. Let me go in order. So you have Gwen Graham, who filed, and Gwen Graham is a former one-term U.S. Congresswoman. She's the only woman in the race.
Right.
And she
daughter of former senator
and governor. She's
and Governor Bob Graham.
Third generation.
Yeah,
third generation politician.
Oh,
her grandfather was a state elected.
Thank you.
Her father was a governor, and she was a House congressional woman for a year, for 2 terms. For 1 term. So that's 2 years. You have, I believe that she cares about the people of Florida. I believe that, I personally believe that her platform is not holistic enough for me. I'm always rooting for people that look like me. I'm always rooting for women. So I'm going to just say right off the bat, I want to see women win. And I've said numerous times that one of my concerns is her platform is not holistic enough for me. We are whole.
Define that. What does that mean?
What I mean by holistic is, yes, education is important.
Right.
Yes, healthcare is important.
Right.
But economics is important.
Oh, okay. So she leaves out certain issues that are important.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've watched, and I'm always rooting. Actually, I root for all 5 of them.
Yeah.
But I particularly am listening to a female gubernatorial candidate, and I'm willing for her to speak
right
as strongly on all the issues as the men do.
Okay.
And that could be because you know
she's trying to thread the needle.
It's hard being a woman in politics. Yeah. And then you have Mayor Levine of he is the mayor of Miami Beach.
Yep.
I have to say that I have friends who work on that campaign.
Okay.
Mayor Levine, I've asked him some very difficult questions. I've asked Mayor Gilliam some very difficult questions also, but Mayor Levine some difficult questions, and I think that he would be a great governor also, gubernatorial candidate also, because he has a business background.
Okay.
However, I also believe that you have to go to these events and you have to ask the questions
and listen to the answers.
And listen to the answer.
Yeah, tells you a lot.
Are they avoiding your questions? Then you have Chris King. Right. Oh boy, Chris King is he's got that pastor kind of a vibe to him. Chris King comes on and he's like that evangelical vibe.
Yeah, evangelical. Yeah.
He has a very good platform. And I believe that he's a good person. And then you have Green. Jeff Green, yeah. Billionaire Jeff Green. I have not heard him speak at numerous events because he's a new guy on the block. He got in here about a month ago.
Right.
He has made himself seen and heard.
He got money to pay for them commercials, bro.
Billionaire.
He's on the TV all the time.
So I have to say this. Of all the candidates, the only one who is not a millionaire or billionaire is Mayor
Gilliam, yeah.
And there's a lot of times in history where people tell you that, like Stacey Abrams' case, she filed for bankruptcy because she was taking care of her family.
Exactly.
She's the gubernatorial candidate for the Democratic Party for the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
They said she couldn't do this, so Stacey disclosed all her stuff and ran.
Exactly.
And she was like, "This is what my issues are." But
I think it makes her so much more relatable because if you look at the foreclosure numbers, the people who have been in bankruptcy, it is much more common than you will believe.
Oh, yes.
America is a place where you could be rich today and broke tomorrow.
Hello.
So if you are a candidate and you've experienced such a process, such circumstances, there are far more people that you will understand and be compassionate for once you're in office. So I don't think any type of economic distress should disclude people or discourage people from running. I think it's very, very, very sad that now if you're poor, if you've had economic difficulties, you should be excluded from office. I don't agree with that at all.
So let me let you guys know that if you go to the website for the Florida Supervisor of Elections website and you go to the financial disclosure, mine says negative as my net worth.
Okay.
My net worth says negative.
Yeah.
But at no point in time do I feel like a negative.
Okay.
So my negative is because of student loan debt.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I am grateful for every piece of that debt.
Child, I get that letter every month, and I'm like, yes, Lord, I love giving you my money.
This is
back.
where, right. So that's where my negative is. So do not feel like
Yeah.
you can't run for office
Yeah.
because you're not a wealthy person. So please don't discount our brother Andrew Gilliam.
Yeah, because he's not a billionaire.
Not a billionaire or a millionaire.
Right.
And I don't see him. Well, guess what? He is a working man
and mayor
with 3 children.
Right.
A mayor who sacrificed his adulthood to better people,
exactly.
his city.
Exactly.
You know?
So it's a big deal, and I just got this sign that we have 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I want to get to, let me ask you, what issue is the most important to you? It sounds like you're running on a very big economic platform, or ran, because you are taking your oath of office when November? Yay, so she's official in November.
Yes.
But is there something that is close to your heart? Like if you don't do anything else, if you don't get anything else passed, or if you can't, see through the entire platform, is there one key issue that resonates the most for you, that if you had to pick one, I know you can't pick one, but if you had to, you would want to see this accomplished more than anything else?
Micro business loans.
Micro business. Explain what they are. I know you touched on it before.
So micro businesses
loan.
are companies that are 5 and under employees.
Okay.
And they are the backbone of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And the backbone of our country.
I was going to say U.S. economy are mostly small businesses.
So, small businesses are considered 400 employees or less. So when you hear small business loans, the company can have 500 employees.
Yeah, apply to a wide range of companies.
A wide range of companies. So I'm looking for a specific pool of money set aside. I'm looking for $30 million. There are 67 counties in the state of Florida. I would like to see each county have a think tank where we look at companies that are currently existing in our state, and we actually have people who one-on-one groom them. Not these mentoring stuff that I see taking place.
Fake.
I mean, real mentoring.
Yeah.
Groom them. And also to look at products that are currently in existence and figuring out how to modify them. So that think tank would do that. We would take products that are currently existing and make them better.
Questions, leave your questions below. Please make sure you like and share this video. We are out of time. She got another appointment, but I appreciate you coming in on a Saturday, chilling with us, expressing your views, and showing us what it looks like to be the next generation of politician here in Florida. So I want to big up Miss Anika Omphroy. Check her out. Do you have a website or where people can find out more information?
It's Anika, Anika Omphroy.com. My email address is anika@anikaomphroy.com. I have a Facebook page, and it is Vote Omphroy. Please go on there and like it. I appreciate it. It was such a pleasure to be asked to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Suzette, we've known each other for a very long time.
I know. See you blossom, girl. See you doing bigger things.
That's how I feel about you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that sisterhood is important. And supporting one another is important.
Absolutely.
So please go out there and support somebody that you believe in. The support you get might not come back from that particular person, but you will get the support back. That's how energy flows.
Absolutely.
I wish you all the best in 2018, and thank you so very much.
All right.
For listening to us.
Yes, Suzette Speaks signing off. Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you look out for the new ebook, Chase the Real You, in Amazon soon.
Love it.
All right, lots of love to everybody. Again, like and share. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.